Well, hi everyone, this is Miley Martin from Student Activities at Fresno City College. And today I'm spotlighting National Hispanic Heritage Month at Fresno City College with our own David Campos, who instructs English and coordinates the Puente program here. So let's welcome David Campos. Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. So good to see you. I love your background.
Thank you.
The cactus are awesome. So I'm glad you're joining us today because, the nation is celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month through October 15th. And because of the pandemic, we're not on campus, and student activities typically would celebrate Mexican Independence Day with a big club rush with music and dance and food and lots of great things. But with the campus virtual, I wanted to highlight Hispanic and Latino history and the accomplishments and hear from key faculty. So you're my first faculty member, David. Can you share what National Hispanic Heritage Month means to you personally, and how your upbringing influenced you to become an English instructor and led you to also coordinate the Puente program here at Fresno City College?
Awesome. Thank you for that wonderful question. So let's start with, can you share what National Hispanic Heritage Month means to me personally? Well, for me, it's really a reminder to reflect on the impact of the wide range of cultures that are encapsulated by that term, right? And also a reminder to reflect on the impact on history, right? So, for example, a lot of folks don't know that Brown v. Board of Education, right, was not necessarily the first case that went to the Supreme Court about segregation, right? And so the first case was here in California, right, in Southern California, and it was 10 years before then, right? And so when we're starting to look at and highlight these important moments, you begin to see how entangled your own culture, your own history is with the larger aspect of the world, and finding those connections and seeing how you are included in those histories is really important to situate, who you are and how I've come to be as an educator. And it makes, I think for me, that connection even much more important for me to be in front of the classroom, for me to be in the classroom. Now, one of the things that I really like about this month, just personally right now, is the fact that I get to look at books and highlight books by Hispanic authors. And as a matter of fact, I have a nice little pile right next to me that I'd like to share with you all. And the first one is, I'm going to have to change my background so you can see the books. So choose virtual background. None. The first one is Body of Render, poems by Felicia Zamora. Right. I'm just going to go through these really quickly.
Yes, please.
And just highlight some of these textbooks, because I think one of the things that a lot of folks don't know is just like, hey, I went to Barnes and Noble and I didn't see, Hispanic writers, right? Where can I find some of those? And this is from an independent press. This is from Redhead Press. And some of those presses don't necessarily reach those wider national audiences. And so when it comes to this National Hispanic Heritage Month, for me, it's an opportunity to highlight some of those voices that aren't otherwise seen. So this is a Body of Render. Then most of you may be already familiar with Juan Felipe Herrera, who was Poet Laureate of the United States from 2015 to 2017. I had the pleasure of studying under him at UC Riverside as a graduate student.
Wow.
Recently named National Book Award longlist finalist is Anthony Cody for Borderland Apocrypha. This is a recently released book. It is amazing and deals with the history of the larger Hispanic culture. And here we have After Reuben, poems and prose, right? So it's a mixture of not just poetry, but beyond prose, uh, um, but to prose, by Francisco Aragon, who is also the director of Letras Latinas at University of Notre Dame. And they have an excellent place there where you can find out even more, including a lot of interviews that have been archived with Latinx writers from across the country. So if you find one of these authors and you're just like really excited to know more about what they have to say, you can visit Letras Latinas and find out more about them and see if they've been invited to interview there. I have an interview, I think, archived there as well. Vanessa Angelica Villarreal, or Peace Meridian. My own book, Furious Dusk, right? Which I'll talk about here in a little bit. It's called, it won the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize from the University of Notre Dame. Here is a Fresno writer. Heart Like a Window, Mouth Like a Cliff by Sarah Borjas. She just won the American Book Award, right?
Wow.
Sensontle by Marcelo Hernandez Castillo. Another Fresno writer. Joseph Rios. Oh, it's too light. You can't see his name. But it's Shadowboxing by Joseph Rios. Also an American Book Award winner. Maybe you've seen this book in Target or Walmart, The Poet X. National Book Award winner by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a YA novel, so if you have any younger readers in your household, I would highly recommend that book. Another YA book, a young adult book, is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alir Sáenz. This is one of my favorite writers.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I really love it. This author visited, I believe, Fresno about like maybe a year ago. Sabrina and Karina, I went to her reading and was really blown away, and I bought the book.
It's a beautiful cover.
Something that is very important and that I think most folks, and one of I teach at least portions of this book in the Puente program, is Borderlands, La Frontera by Gloria Anzaldúa. And the final book that I wanted to talk about, which led me to becoming an English instructor here on this campus, is The Ice Worker Sings and Other Poems by Andres Montoya. And what led me to become an instructor here on this campus was being a student in Lee Herrick's class back in 2007. I walked into that intro to poetry class thinking, I'm going to be an English major. I wanted to teach at high school. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach in high school. And I had no idea that I had the potential to become a writer, or that was even feasible to me. And the first book that he assigned for us to read was Andres Montoya's The Ice Worker Sings and Other Poems. And the first thing that I did was I looked to the back and I was just like, oh, this guy looks like me, right? And I was just like, wait, if he can write a book, I can write a book. And from that moment, I looked up the acknowledgements page to see, where these poems were accepted, submitted. And from that class and being inspired by Lee Herrick, I started to really imagine myself not just as a high school English teacher, but as a writer and a college instructor.
Wow, very inspiring.
And so from that moment, I transferred over to Fresno State, um, with the goal of still becoming a high school English teacher, but I was really sparked by that class. And so I started to take on more creative writing classes. I graduated. I took a year break because I didn't want to jump in directly into the credential program. And I had started a radio show with another local writer, Michael Medrano. So we were working out of KFCF 88.1 FM. And we did a bi-monthly, twice a month uh, radio show that focused on literature. And it was great. And from all of those conversations that I had with other writers, I had no idea we're writers in Fresno and nationally. I was inspired to go pursue my master's. Right.
Wow.
And so when I went to and I went back to Lee Herrick and I asked him, hey, um, who should I study with? And he's like, you should study with Juan Felipe Herrera. And so I looked him up, and where was he teaching? At UC Riverside. So I sent my application there. I was accepted. They gave me scholarships, etc. I got my master's, and in my letter of application to that program, they said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to leave Fresno because I want to come back and I want to give back to my community. I want to share what I've learned outside and come back. And so, I graduated. I came back. I started teaching as an adjunct at Fresno City College. And this is when I first became involved as a mentor, right, for the Puente program, because in that spirit of giving back, I wanted to continue that. Right? And so when I was hired full time, I was very thankful. And then I was given the opportunity to coordinate and teach for the Puente program. And I've been paying it forward since then.
That is amazing. What a journey. That's a beautiful journey. How inspiring. I mean, I do my RAM 30 inspiring stories for Fresno City College alumni, and that's you're doing the story. So, David, I read that the 2016 U.S. Census reported 1 out of 6 people in the U.S. identify as Hispanic or Latino. And I'm sure here in the Central Valley, those numbers must be even higher. How does the Puente program inform and support Fresno City College students, both locally and nationally? And are you involved in any other associations or organizations?
Okay. All right. So the first one, it really helps them connect their education to real world success through the mentor portion. It has 3 different components, right? You're in the classroom with in English. You have a Chicano Latino studies class. You have a counseling portion, which helps them out in terms of navigating just college campus and college life. But I think one of the most important aspects of the program is that mentorship, because it gives them an opportunity, just like I was given an opportunity through the book, to see and meet somebody, who has already gone through that process.
Exactly.
And all of our mentors have a wide range of experience in terms of like diversity of how long it took them to graduate, right? Whether they went directly to a CSU or did they go through a community college, right? Or did they go to a UC? Did they go to an Ivy League? There's many different, backgrounds to our mentors. And so with that wide variety, they get to see, okay, I thought it was one specific way, right? And so there are multiple paths to success. And that, I think, helps them locally connect with other people who have been successful in the community.
Mm-hmm.
At the national level, it exposes them when we go on field trips, right? Now our field trips are virtual, but when we go on field trips, it gives them this access, right, to different folks and different possibilities and different dreams that altogether most folks, when they come to Fresno City, just think, oh, I'm going to transfer to Fresno State. And that's what I did, right? But even in my own path, I didn't know that I could transfer to an Ivy League from here, right? I was not aware of that when I was a student. I didn't even know that was a possibility for me, or that I could transfer to a UC, right? And that there were all these things that were there to help me out. And so at the national level, that helps them like reach out and kind of branch out and figure out, I don't have to stay here in Fresno in order to succeed. The speakers that they bring in to some of the programming that they have are national speakers. We have a Puente Motivational Conference in a few weeks, and I know our campus was lucky enough to invite Dr. Cornell West, and the Puente program has invited Dr. Cornell West. So I'm going to have an opportunity, and they're going to have an opportunity to be exposed to these larger national voices. And because the program has been alive and active for so long, you have a lot of Puentistas who are now out in the professional world. For example, one of the things that I really admired just recently was the success of a former Puentista, and that was the former president and now the new chancellor of the CSU, Joseph Castro.
Yes, awesome.
Right? And so it shows, you're just starting your educational path, your educational career, but look where you can be. Look at the things that you can achieve, right? And I think that at the national level and even at the local level really hits that impact. Now, I am involved in two other organizations. One is the Latinx Writers Caucus. It serves it. I think we just went to a 501c3, and that serves writers nationally who are part or who identify as Latinx. And there are different goals and stuff that we're doing there. And I am also a Cantomundo Fellow. And I'll read, where's their about page right here? It is a mission to have various Latinidades in conversation with each other from coast to coast. So they select fellows and writers from across the country, a small select, anywhere between like 6 to 10 fellows, to a retreat every year, where they just are in conversation with one another. And I am a graduate of that program.
Wow, that's very impressive. So how do students get involved in the program?
They are recruited. And so one of the processes that happens is right during registration. The counselors go out to all the different high schools, and they ask students if they would be interested in participating in the program. Additionally, those folks who are already students and you have not taken English 1A, right? You haven't taken your transfer level English, and you want to be a part of the program, we welcome you into the program.
Oh,
right?
nice.
There is also, because it's nice to have a mix of a nice, large, diverse student body in the classroom. So it's new students, returning students, students who are already here with us, who just need to meet that English requirement. And we also have a math component. So if you're a student who hasn't taken their transfer level math courses, we also have a math component.
Wow, great information. I didn't know how students got into the program. That's good to hear that existing students can come back and new students can get in. So Fresno City College works hard at sharing culture and diversity here on the campus. What events or activities would you like to see more of at Fresno City College?
I would like to just see like panels of local professionals that aren't academics, right? I think one of the highlights that I continue to see when I go to these different activities on different campuses, and even when I bring a guest speaker into the classroom is that sometimes that conversation isn't necessarily about, you know, hey, I brought a writer in. They're not necessarily talking about writing. They're just talking about their experience, you know, going through the educational, through their own educational paths. And I think that could be a really big highlight of just having students have an opportunity to ask local professionals, hey, how do I get to where you're at? Because I think one of the biggest things that they're going to find out is you can be leading a local insurance agency for farmers and have a degree in English, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they can see the wide range of opportunities that are available to them beyond what they think, oh, I'm an English major, I'm just going to teach English. That's not necessarily the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are a wide range of possibilities for that.
So important to think in a broad terms, very open-ended terms. That's why I like interviews like this where you can share kind of anything that you feel. So David, is there anything else you would like to share on this topic for National Hispanic Heritage Month?
Just a bit of self-promotion.
Definitely.
I just found out my new book is going to be, just went live for pre-sales. And so if you are interested in pre-purchasing my new book, it comes out in the spring of 2021. I think the official release date is somewhere in June, and it's a late spring.
Tell us about the book. Tell us about the book.
It is a collaboration between myself and an artist who is in Woodlands, who teaches at UC Davis. It is a full collection of poetry and 18 black and white screen prints that he created. And so it's not an ekphrasis exercise, but it is a collaboration. So it's more like a conversation, if you will. And all the proceeds for like all the direct, like through sales proceeds are going to go back directly into two prizes that help Latinx writers. And the first one is the one that I won, the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize out of the University of Notre Dame. And that is for a first book by a Latinx writer writing in English in the US. And the second is very similar to that, but it's the second book prize by a Latinx writer writing in English in the US, and that's out of Red Hen Press. And so all the author proceeds, this is a big like fundraiser, if you will, to help further, you know, Latinx voices in our country and in literature.
Wow, that really spotlights what you're doing. That is great. So David, you're an amazing individual. I did not know. So this is your second book.
Yeah, this is my second book.
Your second book. And what is the name of your, what is the name of your book?
My second book
the one coming out
is American Quasar. My first book, which you can buy right now, is Furious Dusk.
Furious Dusk.
And that is the painting that you see here is a painting by Marcel Montoya.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
And it's a much bigger painting.
Okay, so Furious Dusk, and you said the second one is called?
The one that is now available for pre-sale is American Quasar.
Quasar. How'd you come up with Quasar? What's Quasar?
It's a supermassive black hole in the center of the universe. Active quasars like spit out funnels and multiple directions of space debris.
Wow. Well, congratulations. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea you had two books out. Well, second one's coming out. David, you're doing wonderful things for students. Thank you for all the hard work you put into mentoring and supporting students here at Fresno City College. This is a great spotlight because I've learned a lot about you and your talents. And thank you for sharing all those wonderful books with us. I look forward to see what you're going to do next on campus. And I want to thank you again for joining me on the Spotlight on National Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I'm going to say we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.